Let's get this out of the way right off the top. The Glashutte Original PanoReserve looks like the Allunga und Zona Lange one. I think it's pretty hard to look at this and not think of the Lange one. I completely understand the comparisons with these two. But I'd also say this has as much in common with the Lange one as the Tag Aquaracer has in common with the Submariner. This is a hill I'll die on. We will talk more about that later in the video. For now, I'm Brittany, and on this channel we just talk all things watches. And this is the Glashutte Original PanoReserve. I have this specific watch on loan from the fabulous people over at Glashutte Original. Thank you so much to the team over there for letting me borrow this one. In this video, we're going to talk about the specifications, the pros and cons of this watch, who I think this is for, and is this an homage of the Lange one? Let's just get straight into it. So, in the Glashutte Original catalog, the Pano collection is marked by their asymmetrical dials and strong German roots. The model I have in is the PanoReserve, which means it has the power reserve indicator on the right. This has a case diameter of 40mm, a thickness of 11.4mm, and a lug-to-lug of 47.1mm. I'd say this is made for the average wrist size, 6.5-inch wrist circumference, all the way up to even 7.5-inch wrists. So here it is on my husband versus me. I have a 5.5-inch wrist, and I'd say it's too large for me. For a dress watch style, I always like it to wear a little bit smaller. I like to have a certain amount of strap showing. But as always, this looks perfect on my husband's 7-inch wrist. Back on specifications, this has 50 meters of water resistance, date complication and power reserve indicator, and a stainless steel case material, which is also reflected in the retail price, which is £10,100 or $12,400 USD. Hold on to that price, we will be revisiting this again later. Looking at the watch, the left side of the dial is your time telling information, with the upper subdial showing the hours and minutes, and lower subdial the seconds. On the right side, we see the power reserve indicator and date. Two things I like here. For one, the date runs on two concentrically arranged discs on the same plane, creating a seamless view of the date, no central bar. I also like that they have opted to use 0 rather than having a blank square for the single digit dates, unlike another brand. I mean, this is so much more visually appealing. Look at this. Does anyone else find this jarring? And secondly, I have discovered that I love having a power reserve indicator, especially on a manual winding watch. I feel like this is something watch enthusiasts would nitpick and say this is a useless complication, but if you have manual winding watches, I think you'd really appreciate this. I can't tell you how many times I've been wearing my Nomas Club Campus, looked down at my watch thinking it's telling the right time, and I didn't realize it's run out of power. Especially if you wear a lot of automatic watches, it's easy to forget to wind your watch and know how much power remains. Also, if you're someone who's quite into movements and chronometry, you will know that power distribution isn't always linear. As the power reserve diminishes, the energy delivered to the escapement becomes less consistent, causing timing variations and reduced accuracy due to inconsistent energy release, and a fully wound watch performs optimally. This is something FP Journe is obsessed with, having mechanisms like two barrels that move homogeneously to deliver a highly linear force to the escapement, regardless of remaining power, temperature, etc. Oh, this is a long-winded way of saying people who value accuracy will love having a power reserve indicator. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I would have been someone who said it's a useless complication, but for me, it was useful. It added to the accuracy, especially on a manual winding watch. Speaking of which, the movement. Powered by the 6501 manual winding movement, this has a 42-hour power reserve, 4 Hz, with an accuracy between 3 and 8 seconds per day. The finishing is exquisite. They've done an incredible job here. Glashutte 3/4 plate with Glashutte striping, balanced bridge and hand engraved cock, beveled edges, polished steel, gold chaton, blued screws. I mean, if this was priced at $30,000, I would say this is beautifully finished. Exactly the level I expect to see at that price. The fact that this is priced at $12,000 and this degree of finishing and even hand finishing, exceptional. This is high horology stuff being delivered at a pretty normal price. I know high finishing isn't for everyone. I love it, but I'm also insufferable. So it is beautifully done. I'd describe this as unmistakably German, from the movement to dial layout. The real distinctive here is the asymmetry, applying the golden ratio, which gives bizarrely aesthetic balance. The functions are all clearly separated, almost like a regulator. Like at first I thought it would take me some time to adjust how to tell the time on here, but it's pretty instinctual. The aesthetics aren't for everyone. I'm a giant fan, but if you follow this channel, you know FP Jorn is also my favorite watchmaker who applies asymmetry in almost everything he creates, or maybe even everything. So it makes sense that I like this. This is probably about as weird as I'd ever buy. I would describe this as quirky, but still elegant, timeless design. Something I really enjoyed was the strap pairing. It was pretty unexpected, but it works. So this is on the synthetic blue strap, surprisingly sporty, and I really like it. I feel like if this was on alligator, it would feel quite formal. This pairing would be my daily go-to choice. If you own this watch, I highly recommend getting the synthetic strap to go with it. And if you own a Lange one, this could be an interesting experiment. Speaking of Lange one, let's go there. So I started this video saying I think these are quite different, or at least different enough, and this is a hill I'll die on. A bit strong, but I can see both sides of it, and here's what I submit to you. Lange and Söhne invented this design code, an asymmetrical watch that is kind of strangely balanced thanks to golden ratio, and Glashutte Original reaffirmed this new way of designing. Like, at some point in the mid-century, a watch brand decided to release a dive watch with a unidirectional bezel, blah blah blah, all the dive watch characteristics we know. Other brands latched onto those characteristics and made it their own. They put their own spin on it. I'd argue that this is what this is. If we put the most similar variations on screen now, yeah, these look similar, but absolutely not the same. The Glashutte feels almost sportier and sleeker, making use of baton indices. The date doesn't feel as chunky and clunky, and PanoReserve indicator is neater. I like that Glashutte Original keeps the small seconds next to the hour and minutes. It feels more logical for reading the time. This might get me into trouble, but I feel like Glashutte Original perfected the design ALS invented. Oh, that's going to get me into trouble. Please don't unsubscribe. I know Lange is this holy cow within horology, and I'm not slagging them off. I just think the Glashutte Original is sleeker. And I should say, this is all very subjective. You might be thinking, do you have eyeballs, lady? The one on the left is clearly better. It's all very subjective. I would say the Pano is the sportier interpretation, and with Geo creating this, it solidifies this as a German design code. This isn't trying to be the Lange. This is taking the design code created by Walter Lange and Gunter Blümlein back in the 90s and executing it in their own way. So it's complicated. It depends. It depends on how you personally define homage. I would say this is just as much of a homage as the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical is an homage to the IWC Spitfire. Yeah, they kind of look the same, but they're just both field watches. But field watches are an older design code versus this new German off-center thing. I expect a very spirited debate in the comment section. Don't let me down. I'll see you down there. In conclusion, let's make a pros and cons list. What's good, what's bad, and let's start with the good. 1. Timeless design, quirky dress watch. 2. Surprisingly legible for such a different design. 3. The PanoReserve indicator is very useful, so you know when your watch needs winding. 4. The date is the most elegant in class, in my humble opinion, being on the same plane and including 0 on the left-hand date box. It's also a bit less clunky without the giant bar running through the date numbers. I know people are going to comment, oh, but the clock in the Opera House in Dresden. I know, I understand the history, but I just think the Glashutte looks better. I'm so sorry. Number 5, a good average case size at 40 millimeters, appealing to the widest possible demographic. Number 6, beautifully finished movement, especially for the price. Number 7, available in stainless steel, making this style of watch far more financially achievable for most people. Lange 1 prices start at £43,600 and the rest are price on request. Oof. Glashutte Original prices start at £10,100 and then move up to £20,000 plus for precious metal and higher complications. Something else I should say, if I was looking to buy this retail, I would ask if there's a little bit of wiggle room in that price. I know it sucks to do, but a lot of retailers are expecting this. I would be shooting for 20%. I don't know if I'd land it, but that's what I would be shooting for. And number 8, last pro, this is just a cool choice. It's a real if you know kind of piece. A lot of value to be found in Glashutte Original and a truly informed decision. Cons! Alright, on to the negatives. For one, when people look at this, the first thing they see is Lange and Zona and think it's an homage. I mean, I've made my case. I don't agree with these people, but I think that's what a lot of people see. They look at it and see Lange. Number 2, the PanoReserve isn't the best. 42 hours is at the lower end of modern expectations, and if it was any lower, I'd have some serious problems with this. Should be at least 48 hours, preferably over 50 in keeping with modern build quality. Number 3, and this is a very me complaint. An annoyingly me complaint, but I wish the time, so the hours and minutes, were on the left side of the dial. You could then slip it just a little bit outside of your sleeve, just a tiny bit, and then you'd be able to see the time first. The time would be the first thing that hits your eyes. And number 4, my final complaint, and this is my biggest one, the size. If I was to get this style of watch, which I'm in the market for, I'm hoping in the next 5 years I can afford something like this, I would have to choose the little Lange 1 solely because of the sizing at 36 millimeters. I'd love it if Glashutte unveiled a smaller size, not just for ladies, but it would be great proportions for a lot of people. I don't think I have any other problems. Overall, fantastic watch. I feel like when I end at problems, people think I dislike things more than I do. I really, really like this. And overall, I think this was a spicy little video. I don't know, let me know all your thoughts. Do you agree, disagree? Do you like the PanoReserve? Let me know in the comments down below. Would you like to see more German brands playing around with this configuration? I know I would. But thank you so much for your viewership. I hope you enjoyed this video. I loved making it. Thank you to Glashutte for sending me this watch into review. It was amazing. And now, thank you to the Pope tier patrons. Get their names on the screen.